Michael Flynn.
Yeah, I mean, and I would tell you that even today, if you search my name today, you come up with Wikipedia or something like that. I mean, it'll take you probably 10, maybe 15 pages deep to try to actually find some modicum of truth.
Wow.
Because the internet, the big IRL owners, the ones that own the various website parts of the internet, they control what is prioritized. They control the information that is prioritized. So we have to continue to fight to post things on social media platforms that allow a whole wide range of voices. We have to really dig and do the research. If you only went by what the first page, that the first couple of things of what it said about Mike Flynn, I mean, in 2016 and 2017, you'd think that I was like, an enemy of, I was public enemy number one of the state.
Yeah.
I had committed treason. I was involved in spying operations with a woman from Russia. I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Just
all
crazy
over the place.
stuff. And it was all, there have been that, just so people in your audience know too, there's probably at least 10 books that I'm aware of that were written at that time that are all filled with false information, all of them. But people wrote books like they do sometimes, and they come out with these books and like right away to try to make a buck and to try to tell some sick version of a lie, really distorted version of a lie, and they make a lot of money from those books. People buy them up and they think, oh, this must be the truth because it's in a book. And honestly, I know of about 10 books that are just filled with distortions. It's crazy. Yeah. And that's why I waited until now to do this film, and I will follow the film up. Usually it goes the other way around, but I'm not, in about another 60 or 90 days or so, I'm going to have a book come out, and the book is going to be a lot different than the film itself. The film will, it's a couple hours long. It's a great film. I mean, it's really powerful. The people can go to flynnmovie.com/dad. Yep. I think DAD, right? Makes it easy.
Can't mess it up.
flynnmovie.com/dad. And what they can do, and I'll talk about the film here in a second, but what they can do is they can sign up. They can order the DVDs. The DVDs are there's different places you can order them from, Amazon, Walmart, or Target. In the next couple of weeks, we are going to have live streaming ability to be able to purchase live streaming. We also have the tour. So on that website that you're looking at, there is a tour button, and you can see, there you go. You can see where we're going to be around the country. I think right now we're upwards of about 33 cities in about 55 days.
You guys are taking the show on the road. It is going everywhere.
We are. We're going to start here in Venice, Florida, and we're going to go all around the country. It's going to be an exhausting but really exciting and fun trip. I'm really looking forward to getting my message out and meeting people. I want to meet a lot more people. You guys know we've met tons of people, thousands from the Reawaken America tour. Yep. So in a way, this is kind of a mini version of one of those, and it's condensed. We will be, we'll be popping in and out of those cities, showing the film. I will actually be at every single one of those venues, and it'll be an in-person live experience. And I'm going to do kind of a Q&A at the end of each showing to answer any questions. And then a book which will eventually be on this site, as well as some other merchandise, but other books that people will be able to find. So anything right now, for you guys, it's flynnmovie.com/dad, DAD. And it helps you guys out in your show, because this is how we help each other out. I mean, Amen. I could have gotten out of the military, because you asked me about talking a little bit about myself. I could have gotten out of the military as a general. I had been in charge of one of the biggest intel agencies in the world. I had risen to the top military intelligence officer in the Department of Defense at the time. And I could have gotten out and gone into the corporate world and done what a lot of generals and admirals do, get defense industry jobs and shut my mouth and sort of drank the Kool-Aid, bought into the wokeness that was inside of not only the Department of Defense at that time, but as I saw it growing in the country, particularly at the latter end of the Obama administration. And I just made the decision. I did some things, I dabbled in some things, but I'm sort of built on service. My life is about service. I was born on a military base. My father was a sergeant in the Army. My family goes back to World War I. Both my grandfathers served in World War I. I had one of my grandfathers served in both World War I and World War II. My father was in World War II.
Wow.
My father served in Korea. I have a brother that served during the Vietnam era. I have, uncles and cousins and brothers-in-law who served in the Marine Corps, the Navy.
Wow.
Great service family-oriented family. I have a brother who still serves in the Army today, as well as a couple of nephews. So, I mean, that's my life. So
your brother didn't just serve. Your brother's in charge of like the entire Southern Pacific Fleet. Is that correct?
Yeah, he's in the Army. Yeah, not in charge of a fleet, but he's in the Army. He's in charge of all Army forces in the Indian Pacific Basin. It's about 150,000 people he's in charge of. Yeah, Charlie, my brother Charlie, he's a great American. And so all that, and then so what I decided to do is I was going to continue to serve our country. And in the movie, I talk about a lot of this. The movie, I really get into the details of this issue that we're talking about. But, for you guys and in general today, I was asked to support different candidates. And of course, the one that was really the most attractive was Donald Trump. And he was the one that I knew right away was going to be the next president of the United States. I mean, you could just tell.
Yeah, you could see it in his eyes.
I worked hard to help him win. And then, he wins, and Katie barred the door. So I think for your audience, I want people to really recognize that, and I use this phrase, and maybe you guys have heard me say this, particularly for any of the younger crowd that is following you guys and listening to you guys and likes what you're talking about. I use this phrase because my father taught it to me when I was younger than you guys, actually. And he said, the older I get, the smarter my father becomes.
Yeah.
I was a radical as a kid. I mean, I was I was one of these kids that I was a surfer. So big, and I was from up in New England, which is really, people think, New England, what surf is up there? Do you think of surf in Hawaii or Australia or maybe Florida, right. Certainly California. You don't think about Rhode Island, which is where I'm from, the state of Rhode Island. Rhode Island has 400 miles of coastline. And whenever we get big nor'easterns in the wintertime, we get big waves. And when I say nor'easterns in the wintertime, we're talking about 45-degree temperature water, and in some cases colder, freezing, below at zero or like freezing cold temperatures. But we'd be out there surfing in like 8, 10, 12-foot waves.
Wow.
And
that's surfing for men right there. That's man surfing.
That's big time. Talk about, talk about whatever, alpha, right? Alpha, God.
That's
and
alpha
then, and other things. I was always a daredevil. I was a skateboarder. I mean, people, kids, around here, they talk about skateboarding. And I was the East Coast skateboarding champion as a teenager. And I'm talking about at a time when they didn't have polyurethane wheels. I was actually on a steel skateboard, a little bit longer than shorter than what we have now, purposely built by a friend of mine who was a great surfer. And we stuck some these really cool steel wheels on it at the time that were a little bit wider than the normal steel wheels at that time. And we did a big old skateboard tournament over at the University of Rhode Island, which is I eventually went to. I'm talking like I was probably like, if I remember right, I think I was like 11 or 12.
Yeah.
I won that.
Before it was cool.
That skateboard. I mean, I could do flips. I could do tricks. I could do jumps.
I love it.
And this is like back in like the early 70s. Okay.
Wow. Before Tony Hawk.
Back in the early 70s. So when we see all these kids that skateboard in the pools and all this stuff, we were doing that. And surfing and my other exploits, and I talk a little bit about this in some of the movie. But my other exploits were I used to like jumping, like high diving, right? But not off of like a 10-meter diving board into a pool. I used to jump off of bridges and cliffs. We had some cliffs. I mentioned that the Rhode Island coastline is 400 miles of rocky area. And a lot of areas are cliffs. And we had this one place called 12 o'clock high. Some people call it Castle Hill, but 12 o'clock high was like, you jump into this like little tiny spot, and you had to wait for the waves to come in. But I will tell you, and I do describe this in the movie, that experience of me doing some of that crazy stuff, surfing in the wintertime and swimming, water was a big part of my life. The diving off of cliffs, the diving off of bridges. And I'm talking about bridges that were like stories high, right? Like a couple of stories high, like in one case, six stories high. Wow. So, that enabled me to make a decision when I was in the military about something really, really life-saving. And I tell that story in the movie, and I'll leave that teaser right there. But I want people to know that, especially your audience and young people, I'm at the age of 65. It's like, holy crap, man, how old is that, right? Mm-hmm. I used to look at people that were like 40 and I'd think, they're old dudes, but
I remember playing basketball in high school and seeing guys come back. They were like 25. They come back and play basketball with us and they were 25 years old. I'm like, I can't believe these guys can still play basketball. This is amazing,
Exactly.
In high school.
But you have to remember that we were all kids once, and we had our different ways that we got involved and did things. And I, but now I get involved in the political life of our country, and I go through one of the worst persecutions that anybody has ever experienced in the history of the United States of America.
Absolutely, I mean,
one of the things for anybody that listens to you who's had in their family or themselves been persecuted by the law or been treated unfairly by the law, which I'm a big fan of police. I'm a big fan of the rule of law, but I am not a fan of the current culture of the Department of Justice or the FBI, as an example, as two organizations. I'm not a fan of their culture. Their culture must change. But this idea that all of us go through some type of bad situation, right? All of us. And maybe some of your audience, nothing's happened to them yet, but something's happened to somebody in their family where they've had a tough, they've had some tough breakup, or some bad break. And the way that I look at people, because I was given a lot of breaks as a kid, and I was given a lot of breaks in the military. I think that I was blessed. I loved serving in the military, but it's not that bad things happen to you. Okay. And this is my the older I get, the smarter my father becomes, right? It's not that bad things happen to you. It's what you do about it is how you will be judged. Okay.
That's great.
And how you should judge yourself. So if something bad happens in your life, and if you sit there and you go, oh, woe is me, everybody's against me, and you whine and you go and sulk somewhere, get over it and figure out, how do you solve it? How do you make it better?
That's so good.
How do you maintain your integrity and your dignity as a human being to continue to grow and learn from it? And I think if that's, my big lesson for your audience today is that I'm the same guy, okay, that I was when I was 13 years old, or when I was 7 years old, or when I was 18 years old. I'm the same guy. I haven't changed. I have great, great friends in a small hometown that I grew up in that we crack up all the time when we tell our stories about when we were kids, and nothing much changed. We all have families and married, or some of my buddies are divorced. Some of my buddies are dead, sadly. But we had a very tight knit group from time I was a kid, from the time I played farm league and little league baseball. Same group of guys, same clique of guys, primarily young guys at that time. And we've stuck together, and we stuck together because we were strong. We were strong friends. Those bonds of friendship never wavered, even with all the crazy stuff I went through.
That's amazing.
We always played. We always got involved in sports and stuff like that. I was on a lot of championship teams. The athletic side of my life was a big part of who I was as a person and as a young person. And so I never changed. What changes are the environmental factors that you put yourself into, right?
Yep.
And I think that when we make decisions, like I made a decision to get involved in politics. I never thought that I'd find myself at the fulcrum of history, when all this sort of this thing came crashing down, the institutions of government came crashing down on my head.
To serve in politics, but then have politics served against you. You went to serve in politics, and then politics was used against you on that.
When I started MyPillow, it was just a problem solution, one product company. Well, since then, with the help of my dedicated employees, we now have hundreds of products, some you might not even know about. To get the word out, we're having a $25 extravaganza. 2-pack multi-use MyPillows, $25. MyPillow sandals, $25. And for the first time ever, our 6-pack towel sets, you guessed it, just $25. Our brand new 4-pack dish towels, $25. And I've never done this before. Premium MyPillows with all new Giza fabric, any size, any loft level, even king size for only $25. And there's so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code for our $25 extravaganza. Order $75 and over. Your entire order ships absolutely free.